hasn't some wizard just cast Continual Flame yet? Because there aren't enough wizards. Shut up, go away. It's kind of, when the rules are there, you know, as a tool to kind of service the game and the story, and, you know, but that doesn't mean, you know, automatically we have to exploit every aspect of them to build the world itself. We can still have oil lamps. You know, and I guess that kind of peeves me sometimes, you know, not terribly, but there are moments when, you know, players are like, well, why doesn't it work this way? Well, it doesn't work that way because there's only one wizard in town, and he's second level, leave him alone. You know, so, but, you know, he could go out and adventure and be 14th level tomorrow, so talk to him then.
It depends on how much you want to take seriously the rules and the implications for the world, right?
Yeah.
You look at, in almost every edition of D&D, magic missile hits automatically, right? It doesn't do a lot of damage, but you know you can hit. What's the implications of that in a siege? You get 50 first level, we're just to march up and, oh, it's nice walls are hiding behind.
Clear the walls!
Oh, there's the general, fire!
If you care to deal with those implications in your game, you can, you know, or you could just sort of roll with it and,
we're playing a game
to move on with the story.
Exactly, the heroic adventure, and the dungeons over here.
Yeah.
So in my latest campaign, it's sort of 4th edition meets 0 edition, because it's got 4th edition streamlined, things work really smooth, and it's got 1st edition things defined. And one of my conceits is, I think D&D misses a beat, sort of, when you know that out there's millions of people playing Dwarf Warriors, remember? So therefore, in the D&D world, there must be millions of Dwarf Warriors.
Sure.
There are millions of people playing adventures, there must be millions of adventuring bands, right? And the wizard that you need the rules for the wizard to play your character, but for some reason it's assumed that those rules apply all across the world to all sorts of other people. And so, in my campaign, when you pick a class or whatever, you're the sort of the backstory authority on that class. So you might be, here's the rules for being a wizard, you might decide you're the only wizard in the world. Or there's 10 wizards in the world and you're one of them. Or you're the only wizard in the world who works this way and all the other wizards work that way, or what have you. And so you get around some of those, the implications of how does this scale if there are a million people like me out there. It's like, aren't necessarily a million people like me.
I like that campaign.
Well, it could also potentially make that much more complicated insofar as you have backstories that players may define that may conflict with other players' backstories and things like that.
Yeah, it's always nice if your players talk to each other before you kick off. But I don't always have that luxury. Sometimes it's we're meeting on Sunday, bring a character, and exactly what you described happens. They look terrible.
That's why I like to do character creation sessions. Where play.
We're just going to spend the session on it.
We're going to talk about our characters and how the group fits together. And, that's fine.
The one thing I strongly suggest for your campaigns, have an experience sheet where every experience you lose or gain experience, you write down how it happened. We created those back in the mid-70s, and I saw where I lost 300 experience points, which I cleared the room. That too many burritos, it's like, so we would actually, if you get experience for weird reasons, and lose some occasion for silly things and all that, but it makes fun 20 years later when you go back and look at a campaign you have with a bunch of buddies. It shakes the memory when you get old, like a little senile, and going, oh yeah, I remember that. So you talked about earlier about being, you know, maybe too anal about recording details at the very beginning. It's like, sometimes it's also fun to
It's worth keeping that level of detail. Somebody just forwarded me recently messages from the TSR quote board back in 1980. And the quote board was everything taken out of context, every bit of innuendo, everything somebody wished they could take back, put immediately on the board, and then later recorded by Roger Moore in this giant log file. And somebody discovered the log file recently and said, hey, remember the quote board?
Wow.
Yeah. So I think there's certainly a place for memory for groups.
That does remind me of something else that I hate, though, which was level drink. It's the negation of your fun. You know? It's just like, oh yeah, remember all those experience points you got? Oh, well, you got hit by an undead. Sorry, you just lost 300,000 experience points. So,
yeah, there's two schools of thought on that.
Player deal.
All right. Well, we're running out of time. I think we're going to have to leave it here. to continue this conversation with you online with Flame. Thank you.